eventually feel like Kobe. I'm like Jokic with the rock. You physically couldn't hold me. I don't care if you pushing 40. You can never little bro me. Euro step like Ginobili, from young OG to the OG. From nosebleeds to floor seats. Circle stronger than Cuban links. My gold dance, your gold plated. You verse me, now that's a reach. We ready. Who ready?
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the One-on-One Sports Show here on the Black Man Unfiltered Network. I am Mr. Bennett, as always, holding down the fort until the guys get here. Not sure if Coach is going to be with us tonight. Coach has some games. He barely had a voice. I was talking to him a couple nights ago. He barely has a voice. He's been screaming at these kids, trying to get them into shape. And, so again, it's definitely taking a toll on him. So I don't know if he's going to even have the voice, certainly to contribute to the discussion tonight. But I know he's working with the youth. He's getting these kids in shape and, trying to do his thing. So definitely looking forward to, certainly the good reports, putting in the work now, but hopefully it'll all pay off in the future. So, we wishing Coach certainly nothing but the best out there. But good to have you guys with us certainly on the show tonight. Make sure as you come in, make sure you hit the like button certainly as you come in. Certainly helps the algorithm. Certainly any contributions you want to give to the Black Man Unfiltered Network, you see the Cash App scrolling at the bottom of the screen. So consider either a Cash App or a Super Chat. We would greatly appreciate it. And certainly anything that you want to give to us personally, we have our own individual Cash App scrolling at the bottom of the screen. So again, we appreciate the support that you give us so that we continue to produce great content and, just share this week's worth of sports. Obviously, we're in the real thick of it. We're at the midway point of the NFL season, and just the way things are breaking at this point, certainly a lot of things going on. Certainly NFL to talk about. It's going to be a bulk about discussion, but we're also getting to the college scene a little bit. Certainly, rankings are coming out and whatnot, and there's huge upset. Certainly with Alabama losing, certainly to Oklahoma. But that's always a competitive matchup, so you can't call it necessarily a huge upset. But certainly Alabama, we were just talking about them last week, how, they were able to rebuild the program to get to number 4 in the country. But they certainly took a tumble. So definitely looking forward to, how these rankings and everything is going to break out in the meantime. But while we're waiting for guys to get here, I'm just going to give you the 10,000-foot view. So where do we stand in the NFL at this point? So again, at the Week 11 standings, as you can see here, clearly we have definitely some separation that's going on. I mean, obviously the big stack, New England and Denver, clearly the biggest surprises. I don't think anybody was expecting this, and we really got to start talking about Coach of the Year candidates out there. You also have with Carolina, their situation, so again, they're clearly seem like they're at the near top of the heap when it comes to, where they are in terms of the top seeds in the division. And, definitely, they're a big surprise for me. Certainly NFC West, that was a huge game with LA versus Seattle. And, certainly that was a, tightly contested game, but certainly LA proven that they might be certainly in the class of that division, but I think it's going to be a dogfight certainly to the end there. And obviously the biggest surprise for me coming out of the NFC North, I don't think anybody, not even that guy Hank, shout out to Hank in the building, go check out his podcast on his YouTube channel. The Bears fan who gave up on his Bears, and he's certainly giving up on his guy Caleb Williams, but nevertheless they're number 1 seed in the NFC North. I don't think anybody saw that coming. I think Green Bay is certainly holding, but Detroit has been inconsistent all year. And I know everyone was saying they were a shoe-in, so sorry to my guy JT. I know it must be frustrating to be a Detroit fan at this point, but the Bears, first-year coach and whatnot, and what they've been able to do with that team, and even with Caleb Williams, and I'm not saying that he's playing lights out, but he's doing the things necessary to win games. And so again, shout out to the Bears and Chicago fans, certainly for their success there. But again, Carolina just like half a game behind Tampa Bay in the NFC South. Again, I don't think anybody was expecting that to happen. Really, the only where there's things unexpected. I mean, obviously the NFC East, Philly, they would certainly flex there. Dallas, even though they won the other night, they beat Oakland. I mean, Oakland's not really going anywhere. They're racing towards the bottom. But Washington, with their quarterback being out and obviously all the injuries that the Giants have, clearly it's going to be a situation with, trying to get those guys I don't think anyone's really going to be coming out the playoffs in the NFC East. So, certainly you're going to have, like I said, I think things are starting to crystallize a little bit. I think the bottom teams are going to be the bottom teams at this point, but certainly we're seeing again the separation of creams. I think is rising to the top, and we're starting to see who the guys are. But like I said, the Bears, I don't think no one saw that coming. You would have bet me that they would be in this position. But we got a huge game. Pittsburgh goes to Chicago this week in the place. That's a critical game for both of us because, as you can see in the NFC North, Baltimore, they're certainly getting together and they're right on our heels. And so we need to keep winning as many games as possible against a very competitive division. But shout out to our guy Shawnee, certainly in the building tonight. How you doing, sir?
What's up, Mr. Bennett? I had to get some microphone stuff fixed, so
I heard that. I heard that. But it's good to have you. Good to have you here. Everything's good with the fam. Everything's good.
yeah, I'm in there playing with trying to get this speaker set up, but other than that, everything good.
Sounds good, man. Sounds good. Yeah, like I said, I don't think Coach is coming tonight. I think he had a game tonight. And like I said, I talked to him a couple days ago. My man had no voice. He sounded like one of those guys when they put him in the witness protection program. They put that muffled voice on. He was like that. He had no voice and no business certainly be on. But shout out to our guy Tom. Appreciate you being with us again as usual. Certainly appreciate the support. And just that with Fox, the media stop giving Kansas City excuses. Yeah, we're going to talk about them too. They seem to be falling off. That was a huge loss, certainly against a division opponent, and certainly. But I think one thing we didn't talk about, but we may have to talk to as we go through the show. Your thoughts or views on potential Coach of the Year candidates. Who's definitely. Like I said, some of these coaches are really doing a great job. I didn't expect to see this out of Denver. They won some close ones. They've had some compromising victories. They won ugly, but 9-2 is bless you. But 9-2 is pretty impressive. So you definitely gotta give them credit. But just your sense so far from Week 11, certainly in the NFL, certainly just give us your sort of high level, your main takeaways from that, and then we'll get into a couple specific games. And we'll take it from there.
Yeah, Week 11 to me had you was able to see some teams that's the Bills and the Bucks game was very good. They were going back and forth, and then ultimately Bills they would pull that out. Um, Baker Mayfield is still doing well without any of one of his best weapons, and his starting running back, Bucky Irvin, is also out. So, he has some weapons missing, and they were still hanging with Buffalo. But I think Josh Allen, I think for the first time this year, because it just so happened last year, not last year, last week, we was talking about, at the time, the MVP front runners. And I believe Allen was third on the list, and I was like, Allen hasn't looked really nowhere he did last year as of yet. Week 11, he did. He had 6 total touchdowns.
Yeah.
And, but that was a good game versus them two teams. Chicago is starting to show the markings of a good team. It's not the fact that they are just blowing teams out. They're finding ways to win.
Right.
Because we could see that in teams like Cincinnati. When you're a bad team, you find ways to lose one way or the other. Chicago is finding themselves on the other side of the coin in that perspective. So, you can't take they may not be blowing teams out, they may be winning by a field goal, but when it's all when that game is over with, they're having a W, which is why they currently rank number 1 in their current division, at top of their division. So eventually you just got to give them props for just finding ways to win. And winning in the NFL is not easy. If you win by field goal, ultimately those wins add up. So that they stand on the other side, because you ask a team that is losing by a field goal, I'm pretty sure that fan base would rather have the opposite. Now, when I look over to Carolina, Carolina's shown to have some good bones in them, and I'm starting to like I mean, Rico Dotto just came over there. I mean, he took Chuba Hubbard's spot because Hubbard was the starting running back, but now Dotto just took it over. And the Rams Seahawks game was good. Rams pulled that out, but mainly because Darnold threw 4 interceptions. So that kind of Darnold's been playing well this season, but it's still kind of this. Okay, how would you look in the big games? And you remember the last 2 games of last season, where I think they could have clinched number 1 seed in the NFC, and then obviously the playoff, he was at his worst. So this was a big game in division game, and if he would just thrown 3 interceptions, they probably would have been able to pull it off.
Mm-hmm.
But that's majority on the NFC side. But looking on the AFC, Patriots are still the Patriots. I saw the Times was talking about potential coach of the year. I think Vrabel. I was about to say McDonald for Seattle, but they just lost. I think Vrabel. And
Well, it's got to be the Vrabel or Chicago's coach. I mean, it's
them or the coach for Indy,
mm-hmm.
because they doing that with a quarterback who was just thrown away by the Giants. So people didn't see that coming from Daniel Jones. Of course, they riding the back of Jonathan Taylor, but it's not like Daniel Jones is costing them, wins himself. So it's Denver's finding ways to win. They got an ugly offense, but they finding ways to win. It's some good teams right now. You basically we coming up on week 12, and the teams are you got a good idea of how these teams operate now. Now that it goes on, they got a whole lot more season left to play. But if they have good quarterback play, you could kind of like New England and Tampa Bay, they having good quarterback play. So you're like, okay, they passing game's legit. Good defensive team, good defense. You could say they legit on the defensive side of the ball. So you are teams like the Raiders, Titans, Jets. We all could tell by your record that you're just a bad team. So we could see, like right now, past the midway point of the season, we got a good glimpse of how these teams are and how they will particularly fare in their respective conferences.
Yeah. Want to kind of go back to what you were saying. It seems like Sam Darnold, I don't know, it seems like he doesn't get the benefit of the doubt or anything. We know how his career started with the Jets, but then he had a very good season with Minnesota. Mm-hmm. And people were saying, despite their record and everything, that could he be good in the big game? Now with Seattle, again, he had them going to that game 7-2, and we were talking last week about how good he can really be, and it's like he has a loss. Again, it was a competitive game. I mean, the Rams are good, but then people think, he has a bad game. It's like he doesn't, like he's the last 2 seasons, even though he's done very well in 2 different teams in 2 seasons, like he doesn't get the benefit of the doubt. People always want to run him. It's like, is what we're seeing the real Sam Darnold, or is the real Sam Darnold the one we saw with the Jets all those years, or with Carolina? It just seems like he doesn't get, it's like he can never win unless he's perfect. That he can have one. Josh Allen can have a bad game, but it seems like with Darnold, he's not giving any credit for the success that he's gone over the last couple of years. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think majority of the people and football fans, they know, like the Jets, they're right now they're a bad organization. Other organizations, the Browns, right now the Giants, but they got their young quarterback, got some potential good future, and right now the Saints. There's some teams that are just bad teams, and a lot of times they finish relatively high in the draft, so they pick these quarterbacks, but because they go to a bad team, they struggle from opening gate. And many fans out there, they know these are bad teams, but for whatever reason, they still want to hold these quarterbacks, even after they moved and went to a different team. And most likely the team they go to, because many times those quarterbacks will go to another team and be a backup somewhere and actually learn how to be a Hey,
Shout
we'll
out to
get
a
to
guy
them.
lost, man. He's so
They actually learn how to be a better professional quarterback when they go to their second team as a backup. Because most likely they're sitting behind an established starter, so they just soaking it all in. And then many times when you see them get their shot, maybe based on an injury or whatnot, you seeing a different QB that you thought you saw at their initial stop. The team that drafted them.
right.
So in this case, with like Darnold, Baker Mayfield, for the most part, even though Baker Mayfield had a couple of more stops, but fans know that these respective organizations, there's bad organizations in the league, but for some reason they still want to hold these quarterbacks to the same. They can't get over what they saw in that initial. Darnold went to the Jets. We know the Jets have been Jets and the Browns have been had a hard time trying to develop quarterbacks
Mm.
on those respective organizations. So if a team draft a high quarterback pick, you might, man, it's a good chance. It's probably a higher chance than not that quarterback is going to struggle on those two teams.
Yeah. Well,
So when
even
they
even
go,
even I know he's not playing that well this year, but I mean, even Geno Smith, you know what I mean, he was with Jets also, and that didn't really go anywhere because of that. But again, I know the
what
Raiders are struggling this year.
he went to a good organization with the Seahawks, but I can't blame him because the Raiders ended up giving him money, but he almost took a step back in organization when he went to the Raiders. So, you know, Mac Jones at the time before they got Vrabel,
He was all
he was with the Patriots,
right.
and they setting him up by giving him two defensive coordinators trying to be coaching him on offense.
Right.
So obviously they was setting him up to fail. He goes to a more established franchise and coaching system than 49ers. You seeing a better quarterback. So it's people always they can't get over what they saw in their initial stop. So in this case, Darnold, and you saw that with Baker Mayfield. But when these dudes actually started playing good football, people are always gonna think the shoe is gonna drop and they're gonna revert back to what you saw at the original team, knowing that team is nowhere near the organization they're currently on. There's a reason why that team stay at the bottom. They, for whatever reason, they change coaches like clothes. They front office. They may change front office. Many times it may be the same front office dude. So you can kind of point to like, man, that may be the reason why y'all struggling. But for whatever reason, the owner is loyal to that GM.
Mhm.
So that is, it just happens like that. I mean, fans just can't get over media, especially you see that with Donald, even though he had a bad game. He threw 4 interceptions. So that's a bad game for a quarterback.
Yeah,
But
like I said, it can happen. I said Josh Allen's had games like that. Your favorite player Jackson's had games like that.
yeah, it's just
But I mean, but it's
they
and those guys. It's
sold.
not like those guys have Super Bowls either. But just like Darnold is just like as soon as he have a bad game, everyone's like, oh well,
Well, 'cause they can't get over what they
it
saw in their first
is it
stop.
right? Is it fool's goal or was it simply said the organization he's in? Because you were talking about Carolina. I mean, we were calling Bryce Young a bust or potential bust last year. And again, he's got those guys playing tough. I mean, so I think that certainly organization matters. Putting folks that are certainly in the best position to win, I think matters. Like I said, I think that'll be a dogfight down the stretch.
Yeah.
I think they'll be right there. In fact, I mean, I think the West potentially, as it stands right now, they may send 3 teams from the West in the playoffs. So we'll just have to see. I mean, we'll see what happens to San Francisco with Purdy. Can he get into a rhythm and get them going? But that's going to be a dogfight down the stretch to get into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of give you guys just a view of the seeding at this point. So again, really, Denver is now the number 1 seed. Certainly in the AFC, nothing changed certainly with the Eagles, but you see how tight it is with these teams. Again, 3 teams in the West are certainly seeded for wild card berths. And again, the big shock, Chicago is really the only team coming out of the North, which nobody said they were easily going to be 3rd, if not 4th in that division. So again, shout out to those guys for their effort. And then again, surprised we thought that the shine might be coming off of the Jaguars, but they had a big win last week. and certainly they're right back in the dance as well. They'd have to go up against New England, but they're still live dogs. I mean, even though they had that bad loss a couple weeks ago, they're right there as well. So it's like this, it's going to be changing landscape every week, but certainly seeing Denver and New England fight it out for the win. But I don't know if anybody's going to catch the Eagles. Now, that doesn't mean that they're going to look pretty. They did win again against Detroit. It was that Sunday night. But again, it wasn't impressive. But again, they're getting the victories. And we'll see if Brown, if he'll still continue to tweet and read and do all those kind of things or what have you. But but certainly the Eagles, they seem to control their own destiny at this point. And we'll see if they can can certainly continue the effort.
Well, apparently Brown, he spoke with I believe the owner before last week game. They got a better understanding. So that's why if you listen to, I mean, it was off a win, but his post game interview, he sounded a little bit more calm.
Mm.
So it's like they got a little bit of understanding of what's going on there. But with the Eagles, I mean, they have a fairly decent schedule ahead of them. And they got the Cowboys next. They got the Bears, week 13. Chargers. One thing about the Chargers, you have no idea which team's gonna show up. That's how they lost against the Jaguars.
Yeah.
But I think they have some injuries that they're dealing with. So it's really starting to make them really turn into Jekyll and Hyde.
Mm-hmm.
Raiders, Commanders, and then they finish it off with the Bills at Buffalo. So that could be a potentially huge game for the Eagles if they're really trying to fight for that number one seed. Now it's going to be interesting when they play the Cowboys because Dak he have a tendency to play well versus the Eagles. You remember the Cowboys almost beat them in week 1 if CeeDee Lamb could catch the ball. So that game, and it's going to be in Dallas, so that game could be a potential stumbling block for the Eagles, and that can give a team. And that can, if the Bears end up winning next week, then next thing you know, the Eagles and the Bears could be tied for the number one seed.
Mm-hmm.
So it can get some teams, or the Rams. So it can. They have a pretty steady, challenging schedule left. So it's almost similar to the Cowboys. They got a pretty hard schedule themselves. So NFC is yet to be there because we still have 7 more games.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's a lot to be decided. Even Loss hasn't given up hope yet. So again, I think Cowboys, they're only a couple games out of a playoff slot.
Yeah, but
so
they got a very low chance.
Let's see if they can make a run. But shout out, speaking of Dallas, certainly a Dallas fan in the build tonight. I got Dante. First of all, how you feeling? How's the fam?
Family's good. They're better. Everything's cool. So just really looking forward to Thanksgiving week. Really.
I heard that. Yeah. We're just kind of wrapping up, kind of high level view, wrapping up week 11. So again, we talked about certainly the current standings, certainly in the league. What's really sticking out from this. I mean, obviously for me, Chicago Bears. That's like the turnaround story of the year. I think New England. Certainly with both these teams getting rookie head coaches, and they're doing what they're doing. Denver is planned out of their mind. So yeah, I mean, it's a lot of I don't think anybody going into the preseason, I don't think we did an over under on any of these teams, but I think all these teams are well outperforming everything. So just real quick, if you want to just give your high level view of your summary of week 11, where teams are standing at this point, and what's really sticking out to you regarding the current standings after week 11.
Man, biggest thing sticking out to me is I would say that Seattle. I've got more respect for them as a team, but it just me and my friends in our chat say all the time. Sam Darnold turns into that pumpkin, and it's just he has that
we were
game.
Just talking about that boy. Why has he got to be a pumpkin? It's like
Cinderella. It's literally Cinderella. It's like he's gone to the what's the movie coming out? The Wizard of Oz. He goes to become the good quarterback skill. He goes to the Wizard and he gets it, and then he just every now and again it's just like it strikes midnight and then boom, he don't have it. And it's
but you wouldn't say that about Josh Allen.
My thing about Josh Allen is we're not critical enough.
Or Lamar Jackson, you and Shawnee's favorite player.
I would say I would say my thing is they built up like enough good play to where sometimes you don't have to be as hard. But I would say I know with Lamar for other reasons, sometimes I'm not as tough on him as
So
I
hang, hang,
should.
hang. So how
Josh
and and
Allen,
and and the worst
I'm
of it
glad he
all,
should be.
how do you justify Dak Prescott?
We say like that.
You guys never had smoke for Dak Prescott, despite having some of the worst playoff losses in history, and yet
No,
I would
we
he's
we
not
we've gotten on
Cinderella.
Dak before.
I
He's
would
gonna
say
We've
when
put
gotten
up.
on Dak
He's gonna
before.
put up gaudy. He's gonna put up these gaudy numbers this year, like he always does. Come to playoff time, looks awful in the playoffs, but we're gonna call Sam Darnold Cinderella. I don't
I
get it.
mean, but the thing is, you're comparing difference even in the sense of Dak, because Dak isn't as accomplished. So we'll just keep it to Dak. He's not as accomplished as Lamar Allen, or I mean Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen. He hasn't been to a conference title game. Sam Darnold's computer pales in comparison to Dak. So it's just one of those things like I've seen so much bad play from you. I need to see more. My stance on Dak, I don't say it much, is I don't do too much of the defense of him unless it's just something outrageously crazy. He's got to get it done. You have the salary, you have to get it done. You have the weapons. The excuses really been out. And it's like you've had pretty good weapons most of your career. We know you haven't had a defense, but when you're getting paid that salary, you got to get it done. That's my hardline stance. I don't go into it because his conversation and people put him at 17th, whatever. I'm to the point now. You rank him whatever you want to rank him. Don't put him in MVP. Don't put him in anything. Just let's see how he comes playoffs on because that's all that really matters. See, we've seen him go 13-3, and we've seen what happened. So it doesn't matter. My only thing has always been, from his standpoint, to get to a conference title game, you need to do the cheat code, which is get the first seed, win the one game. You're good at winning one game, then we'll talk about what you can do with the NFC Championship. But of course, that's out the window at this point. But my thing with him is it's just hard for me to trust him. But one thing is, as far as the eye test, I know we've had this conversation on a high level view. When it comes to who's going to get the top seed, I think the Rams are deserving of it. I just think that they're playing better football. Philadelphia, I don't agree with the way Brown has gone about it. I 100% don't agree with it. But he does have a point that we've been making on this show. We've been chastised like, oh, they're winning, but this isn't going to be sustainable. Like literally, they had a game. They're getting into games where against the Rams, it was special teams that won them the game, and then the late offense coming, but they got the spark. Against the Lions, a big part of it was that defensive front has become so crazy with Phillips on the edge now because they didn't have a good edge rusher. So they're bringing the interior rush, getting you from the outside. But Dan Campbell and those decisions. I love Dan Campbell and I love to be aggressive. Dan Campbell cost it. Now, I understand not going for the field goal at times in some of those areas because of that crazy wind. But sometimes going for it was just kind of like, maybe you should just pin them back. Like sometimes you have to be turn down the aggressive and look at what the game scenario is. And I would be more in on them until I see a game like that, and I'm like, can I trust you? Can I trust you? And can I trust golf? And it's just like one of those deals. Like NFC wise, I think it's going to be Philly and the Rams. And I think even if the Eagles get it, it's going to be a big test with a playoff defense that had time to prepare. How are they going to do offensively? 'Cause they got the division on and away. Now it's just fighting for the number one seed. And also on the AFC side, and I'm glad you said it. There's no more excuses. The Chiefs are 5-5. The Ravens are 5-5 and pushing for the division. If you guys make the playoffs, you might not even see Mahomes. The excuses are gone. This is the year to make the Super Bowl.
Which is what and it's great segment to get into it. So again, is it over for the Chiefs? I mean, is this a rebuilding year? How much confidence or faith do you have in them getting into the playoffs at this point? As a bad loss, a division loss. Again, lots of competition in the West, and I just don't see a path for them to get out unless some major things happen, some injuries or something like that. I just can't see the Chiefs making it in at not at this point in time. I think because currently they're out of the playoffs at this point. So, what's your thoughts on this, Shawnee? Do you think that? Because again, you also got to think about tight end Kelsey. Is this going to be his last year? I know I think he broke a record. I think he's tied one of the leaders in either touchdowns or receptions or something like that. So again, but how much does he have left in the tank? And even you got to look even at the coach. I mean, how much more does Andy Reid want to go on? with this team. So do you think this year they may blow it up, or do you think there's still a shot for them to make playoffs?
I think I'm trying to look at their schedule now. So just quickly looking at the Chiefs' schedule, they have some challenging games ahead. I mean, their next game is at the Colts. Then they have the Cowboys at Dallas. Then they versus the Texans. Then the Chargers. Then kind of get a little bit lower with the Titans. Then they got the Broncos and the Raiders. So they have a challenging schedule ahead of them. So I mean, the next 3 games, I put it like this: we'll know if and I believe the Cowboys are on the same boat. The next 3 games for both of those teams will let you know if they have a chance at the playoff. Because I think they're going to have to win at least 2. And, I mean, probably the best one, I mean, right now, they offense, I mean, they showed some signs when they got Rice back, but then if they go against a good defense, they seem to hold that offense in check right now. So they potentially could beat Dallas because Dallas defense. Only reason Dallas has a chance because it's going to be played at Dallas. But I mean, that's a winnable game for the Chiefs. That they next game is going to be the Colts, and they have a good defense. So I don't know. And then I got to see what their rushing defense is ranked, because if they rushing defense struggles, Jonathan Taylor's going to run all over them. And then they're going to go against the Texans defense. And I believe the Texans defense is probably the scariest defense in the NFL, because they will pound you. They got a good defense. They can get the ball. They can turn over the ball. They just don't get the help from their offense. But their defense can get to the quarterback. They got good secondary play, and they can cause turnovers. So that's going to be a hard game, even at Kansas City. So their next 3 games is going to show, because right now they don't have. See, nobody. The Cowboys can lose games, and then nobody really expecting them to go to the playoffs. The Chiefs, on the other hand, they kind of in a situation they haven't been before in the Mahomes era. Right now, they're literally fighting for their life halfway through the season.
Mm-hmm.
And if they lose at them next 3 games, I believe they lose one more game. Like if they lose their first game of the 3, especially against the Colts, that could put a serious. I know they'll have 3 more after that, but they'll be far behind the division leaders and other AFC teams that's above them. So, I don't know. I mean, I know I said if they go 2-1, but they almost have to go undefeated within the next 3 games to really have a shot at the playoffs. Because we was just looking at the standings, and there's some teams above them are right now they're tied, I believe, with the Texans. It's record. So, they're gonna be really fighting and scratching and clawing just to get one of the bottom seeds in the conference, because them top seeds, those upper teams, they starting to run away with it.
Yeah. I just think that it's like Kansas City the last couple of years. I mean, they would win the close ones, right? It would come down to their kicker at the end or something like that. And again, that's the difference. Sometimes a team you win, like I said, Denver seems to be winning the close ones. Denver could very well be 5-5 right now, but they're winning the close ones. They have these crazy come from behind victories. Chicago 7-3. They could easily be 3-7, but they're finding ways to win. And somehow it's like that magic dust. Some may say it's the calls. They're not, for all those folks who said Kansas City was getting all these calls, it doesn't seem like those calls are favoring them this year. Yeah. So I just think sometimes just the magic dust just kind of wears off. But Dante, your thoughts?
They definitely have their share. So.
I'll say this. I'm glad you said that about the close games. I want to say it's forgot the name of the guy at ESPN that always does that. He does that chart each year about the teams that have the close wins like that. It'll go one year for you, and then it'll normally flip for those 50-50 type games. So you want to be a team that can win by more than a possession and not just a little close game. And it's falling that way for them, where the luck and stuff is not falling their way. And I think it might be. I know it's tough for the team to think that, because you've been so much championship. It might be good for them to be home in January. It might be good for them to like reset and have to take a long look at. I've heard people say, "Hey, man, that Andy Reid offense getting a little stale," which is something you never would put together. They may need to sit back and take some stuff from some of the other teams. Like when I look at even Detroit to this day, even with Ben leaving, where you got guys coming in motion and coming in and taking blocks as a receiver. Now you got him coming in play action, coming in like he's blocking and coming through the C gap to run a route. Like doing things like that. We're not seeing that from, we see the little cute stuff, but it's like, man, we used to that old bag of tricks you got. It's like when you got some kids and you do something, it's like, man, they tired of pickaboo. And that's not working no more, Andy Reid. So they might need a chance to step away. He might need to, if he doesn't have it anymore, that's a job that a lot of people will want because people were looking at Mahomes' stats and like them going down. And it's like the winning is hitting it. And it's like, well, he wins. Now it's kind of like, nah, we got to have a question. We're going to have a question about Jalen Hurts. I think obviously Mahomes is a better quarterback. We got to have a conversation about him and say, hey, you gotta step up and we need more production. We know you got Rice back. It hasn't clicked with Worthy, and it may be time for them to tell Kelsey, as bad as it is, you made enough. If it's not this year you retire, next year is your last year, son. Because you're still on the field, but when you're not making plays like you used to, and what was it, the Philly game, ball right in the end zone, drops it, goes Makuba comes and gets the interception. Stuff like that, when you start doing plays that you don't ever do, it's time for you to think about stepping away or at least stepping back. It's not quite there as bad, but I remember Witten at the end, it was just like, he's taking up space with Jason Witten. Like, you're a legend and all, you're going to be in the ring of honor, but you're taking up space. Yeah. And when you get to that point, that is a problem. So I don't know. Like, my thing is, when it comes to it, Shani, it's honestly, the Chiefs have fallen so bad. This is a game that I had scheduled as a scheduled loss because I was like, the Chiefs, I don't think we can beat them. That was a scheduled loss, and I had Philly as a scheduled win because you split with your division rivals, especially on the home games. And now I'm thinking with the Cowboys, like, hey, depending on how they look against the Eagles, I might not think it's so much of a scheduled loss because they don't look very scary at all.
Well, I add this real quick about the Chiefs. Really, the Chiefs' offense has been sliding since 2023, and they still won the Super Bowl that year. But it definitely wasn't because of that offense. It's because they had pretty almost dominant defense. But that defense now is also beginning to show some holes.
They start losing some players.
Yeah, remember that's how they beat the Ravens. Because it wasn't the offense. The offense got the touchdown that they needed, but it was the defense that was making the key plays.
And no run game.
Yeah, it was the defense that caused Flowers to fumble that close to the end zone. But they're not making those same plays now. So that is the biggest reason. Because that offense has been kind of sliding not because of Mahomes. It's the personnel around him starting to kind of fade. And, they don't have the weapons. Like, them losing, really, and them, I know there's fast receivers in the league, but Tyreek Hill was a weapon. That dude was a weapon. I mean, the speed, the quickness, he was a game changer. And I know they won a Super Bowl after him, but
didn't they win 2 or 1?
No, just they went to 2, but they won. Okay. Of course that second one they went to when they got dominated by the Eagles. But that offense, even when the one they won, that offense wasn't looking the same. It's just that defense was dominant. So that's when they was able to make the key plays. The offense was just, wasn't making the mistakes and giving them a touchdown lead, and the defense did their job to, the rest of the game to get that victory. But now that the defense is showing some holes and that offense is still kind of looking stagnant, even Dante just mentioned, they run game. They have not had a consistent run game this year. So you're starting to see everything. I see KP. I don't know if he's still out there, but you're starting to see some of these pieces kind of.
Well, keep in mind, KP, he's a Bengals fan. So.
Oh!
I know it's KP from KC, but he's a diehard Bengals.
I could have thought I saw him kind of rave about the Chiefs at one time, but I don't know.
I mean, if he's from there, obviously he meant to know about the Chiefs, but yeah, he rides with the Bengals. But just want to kind of give some updates, some just specific games. So again, Carolina finds a way to win again, and unfortunately for Michael Penix Jr., undergoing season-ending torn ACL. Again, the guy came into the league with injuries. Now he has this major one here. So again, you're back to you're back to my guy at QB
Cousins.
back. Kirk Cousins at quarterback again. So he finds it. So again, just do you think he may get rid of? He finds a way to stay around there. But shout out to Penix. Hopefully he can recover from that. But again, I know that was a lot of teams were kind of cautious on drafting him because of his injury history, and certainly that's a bad way for them to go down. But again,
this about the Falcons though. Both of their quarterbacks have. Because remember, Cousins came off that ugly Achilles, but they still gave
they're in sad, they're in bad straits right now.
Both of their QBs have highly questionable injury records.
We take a moment to give props to Bryce Young having a career day.
Yeah,
a guy that you keep saying, is he done? Is he this? Is he that? And it's
we were trying to give him a bus ticket last year. So
we were trying to like it was at the point where he was getting set down for Andy Dalton. And then it's kind of like, hey, guess what? You build up the offensive line. They started to gel. And then you have a running game. And then guess what? You gave him Tedero McMillan, the number one receiver, who had an outstanding game. And it's just like, hey, the pieces are coming together. You had Leggett, and it's just like he's a piece. But it's just like, no, you need a number one guy. And like they're still working it out. I still don't know if they ever worked it out with a guy from Texas, Shedeur Sanders. Because that's a guy with athletic, and sometimes it takes tight ends a while. But if they can put it together, I think that's interesting. That he could, you find the quarterback and then you put everything else together. But for the Falcons, it really sucks for them because their first round pick, those edge rushers they moved up in the draft to get are doing well, but they gave their first round pick for this year to the Rams. So the Rams could have a top 10 pick and the number one seed. And that could be their ticket to, I would say it would be best for them if they like one of these quarterbacks to take one. Because Matthew Stafford, it wasn't too long ago, we was thinking about how much juice he has left in that arm.
Right. Yeah, shout out. Next blog, again, shout out to Bears. Again, I got to give him credit again. Find ways to win. Now, again, I'm not saying Williams is putting up MVP numbers. Not saying that. He's managed. If you want to call him a game manager, if you want, or what have you. But again, I think just the confidence builds. I mean, this is a really big game. We play, the Steelers go to Chicago, and it's going to be a really big game, certainly for us and for them, because obviously you see how competitive it is. Certainly in the northern divisions. Like I said, we got the Ravens breathing down our necks. So this is going to be, I think, a really good, legit test. I think for both teams to see where they really are. I know the Steelers, they're certainly piling up on the defensive side. They signed Jabril Peppers. He's on the practice squad right now, working himself into it. But I think the defense overall has played pretty decent the last few weeks, especially after that bad game against the Bengals about 3 weeks ago. So again, it's going to be very interesting to see how our defense can stack up to that offense. And they got my guy from Rutgers at running back, so he's been doing a great job there. So yeah, definitely looking forward to it. And yeah, been beaten up since those days in the end. Yeah, he's just had a major injury history. But yeah. But moving on, these kind of just quick hits I just wanted to call out. So yeah, so let's get to the main block here. So again, you had Spitgate. Obviously we all know Jalen Ramsey. He can bring the worst out of people. He's just that type of guy. He's one of those guys you hate to play against him, but again, I guess you love him if he's on your team. They were going back and forth throughout the game, and really on the previous play, I think they had gotten offsetting personal fouls or something like that, or at least the refs came in and said cut it out, and then like on the next play, certainly they get into it again, and Jamar spits. Now again, Jamar has a lot of people on social media kind of ran with this. I ain't never opened my mouth to that guy, which wasn't, certainly not the most inartfully put, but he basically denied it in initially after, and then he had to own it afterwards when the footage came out to say he clearly did that. But this is the second, spitting incident. We all know Jalen Carter in the opening game, the Eagles versus Dallas, and he gets a 1-game suspension because of that, including the game that he was in. A lot of people were upset saying that, look, we need to set a precedent that he should have got Chase should have got 2 games, because again, if Carter got the
Now
game.
Carter just got the one game. He just got the game because he was the game that since it was before the game
It's only
started,
one game.
it counted that.
So
One game
we're
is
at the same thing.
spitting.
So it's the same thing. So, but
Yeah.
should this change? Because I'm thinking, they always say spitting is the last thing. You can get into it. You can throw hands or whatnot. Spitting is the worst thing you can do, certainly to a person. And shouldn't the league, should this have been at least a 2-game suspension at this point? And keep in mind, he certainly spit, and then Jalen threw the punch. Ramsey got kicked out the game, but Jamar stayed in the game. So again, and I don't know what the league is going to do as far as, because usually Ramsey would have got a fine being kicked out. Maybe if they see this film, they may reverse that. But what do you think? Do you think that the penalty was too easy on him? Do you think the league really needs to come down on things of that nature? It's just a bad look, I think, for the league, and I think at minimum 2-game suspension if you're gonna be that brazen like Carter did, and obviously what Chase did in this game. Your thoughts, Shawnee, on this? Too lenient, or the right punishment? And this also is going to cost him $500,000 a game check. So
yeah, I think the 1-game suspension is right, only because it happened earlier. That was the first game of the season when it happened with Carter. So they gave him that 1-game suspension. Since it happened before the snap, they just counted that 1 game. But it'll be hard for because then you have to hard this appeal process. Basically, because they gave Carter 1 game, this spit incident from Chase kind of just left them to 1 game. Because then you would have, they would have gave him 2. They would have been like, oh, but you gave him 1, so all that. I don't think the NFL expected to happen as frequent as it is doing it. It just so happened the first spitting incident happened in the very first game. So now all the other ones that may happen this year, they may get 1 game. Now I believe it will be addressed in the owners' meeting next offseason, and then we may start seeing some heavier penalties for this. But because 1 game happened when Carter did it, I think that right now they're just using that as kind of the standard for this season. But I think that when the owners' meeting happened, I think you'll see some harsher penalties. Now I don't agree with Trey talking about season-long suspension. That's just way too harsh. I mean, they could punch a player and get a 1-game suspension, but spitting, I know may be worse, but that you potentially, you hurting the team now, for a whole year. The team didn't do nothing to that player. Send him the message with a 1 or 2 game suspension without pay, and that should be strong enough. But if you're gonna get a suspension from a spit for a whole year, like you do like a potential PED use or something like that, that's super harsh. Even David Stern probably wouldn't. NBA wouldn't punish a player that harshly, especially a player like Chase, because I don't think Chase really has a
he doesn't have a history of such things. But
that will, like I say, that when they talk about it, because I have a feeling they will talk about it in the owners meeting this off season. It'll be a whole process of whatnot. You remember what's his name, the Bengals player, Burfict.
Mm-hmm.
If this was Burfict do something like that, his penalty may be harsher because his history, is going to be so. I believe they're going to talk about it, and there's going to be some variables, but it's going to be a set standard with some caveats to it based on your history and whatnot. But because this, you will see, you may get some incidents where a player may spit, but that may be the only time you see it on a whole season for like 2 or 3 seasons, because you just don't really see players spit on each other.
Mm-hmm.
But it just so happened this year, boys is getting goofy. And, and the thing about it, and before I give it to Dante, the NFL cameras today, they are so high advanced, so high definition. You Chase want to lie, no spit, and the cameras can clearly see the spit. And think about it, even after the punishment came out, he's still denying it.
Mhm.
You know, I think we boo-boo the fool. We just saw the spit come out your mouth in high def. But like I say, I think it would be addressed. You just don't expect to see this twice in the first half of a season. So, yeah.
Gotcha. Dante, your thoughts on it? Too lenient or the right tone?
I think two would be something like you doing something like that. That's something that's justifiable as far as a suspension. And I think they probably will up it. Just like you said, there's been two instances. The Steelers, a high profile team, and the Bengals. Look at a team that was supposed to be good players, supposed to be making a run. So still high profile in the Cowboys and Eagles. So yeah, 2 times. Rivalry games that got intense, and they might say, "Hey, we like the intensity, but tone it down, tone it down." And I think you'll probably see more emphasis on telling them like things like that, just like they have more emphasis like the whole, taunting with I think what is it, not Lamb, but George Pickens got in trouble for that, holding the ball up. And it's one of those, you can say, hey, I'm saying first down, but if the guy's close to the area, hey, that's a penalty. So I think you'll see some cracking down on it like that, where it's just in probably more as far as it being contentious pre-game stuff. They'll probably even crack down on that a little bit just to kind of calm that down. Because I know a big part of it is when it comes to the players, some things they do, like some celebrations they don't want them to do because they know that younger guys are watching. And yeah, you probably won't want them, seeing guys spit. And then you see, at the younger levels, kids seeing that and going off with it. So similar like the Ja Morant and the gun thing. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't trip over those 2 games because it's like that's disrespectful as hell to come and spit on somebody.
Yeah. Well, my thing it should be at least 2. Simply for that, because you saw what happened. I mean, I said Ramsey threw punches after the game. You got team brawls. That's how people get hurt also. So again, if you talk about things that a fight's going to break, I'm surprised, and some people I know clown Dak for it when the guy spit on Dak opening game, he just kind of smiled and backed away from it. He didn't even respond. And maybe that might be just Dak's personality, but I know a lot of people were saying, "Oh, you can't, you can't let a man do that to you." And so I know his Jalen Carter probably outweighs him by 100 pounds. I recognize that also, but Dak kind of took it in stride. But I think if certain things like that can lead to fights and injuries that may come from that, I think certainly they need to be a lot harder. So yeah, definitely.
Well, I think the biggest thing the NFL gonna have to right now. Ramsey just basically grabbed Chase, or he punched him.
Yeah.
But think about it. Think about if somebody was foolish enough, for one, whoever spit on Trent Williams. That dude would probably be the last time he played in the NFL. Trent Williams would stomp him in the ground.
Now, let me ask you guys, do you think that should have been reviewed? Because I don't think currently right now they don't review, like when a player gets ejected or if a fight like that breaks out, could that have changed things? So if they would have went back, sort of replay up, he spit, or at least both of them would have been ejected at that point. Do you think they need to bring some sort of review before they decide that a player gets ejected?
They probably will. Like I say, we're probably going to see a specific rule about this next season. So they probably will, because like Tomlin mentioned, he said he don't have no. I guess no.
Tomlin had the perfect response.
Yeah.
If somebody spits on you, do what comes naturally.
Exactly.
Straight up.
And I think the NFL may end up taking that. I know they try to keep an image, but spitting, it's not about a player. You crossing over to a manhood thing.
Yeah.
So the NFL may take like, hey, handle your business. If they could clearly see about the spit and the player actually punches them because he got spat on, may get a slap on the wrist, maybe no game suspension, may get fined. Meanwhile, the other player, he, like we seen, get both.
Gotcha. Moving on. So again, Shedeur Sanders obviously comes into the game last week. Dylan Gabriel gets hurt. He has no first team reps, but he's your number 2 quarterback. And he comes into the game. Obviously, the game turns badly. I don't know when he came in. I think they might have been even winning at that time. I think Yeah, because I think Baltimore, they had a late touchdown to get the go ahead score and win on the game, but he's pegged to be the starter this week. But what do you think that's going on here? I mean, Stefanski. I mean, he's vehemently denying that he doesn't have anything against Shedeur or whatnot. But what do you think that's going on there? That again, you have your backup QB, who's not civilly prepared to go in, and you saw what the performance was. He didn't look good at all. Again, is Stefanski setting up Shedeur to fail? And shout out to our guy Game Likely. He said he's still not a Shedeur fan. Overhyped, overrated, all that. Certainly folks are have their passions about Shedeur and whether or not he deserves to be have starting reps. But he is going to be the guy. Do you think he has potential? If he gets those first team reps and really is given the reins, do you think he has an upside in the NFL, or again, does this whole season such where he just needs to get out of Cleveland? You get Sean. You go first.
Well, one, I'll break it down too. Basically, how his performance last game. The only thing about because of many, in Sanders fan base, there's just a lot of fans out there that just basically want Sanders to be on the field regardless. They always trying to push to have Sanders start, push to have him start. And
he got a pretty good ovation when he came out.
Yeah. And so when they're putting a lot of attention and pressure on Sanders because everybody want him to go out there and play. Well, when he has a performance, basically statistically wise, and it wasn't that great, that gives ammunition to the other side, saying that, oh, see, he told you he couldn't, successful, and now he was struggling and all that because he went for 4 for whatever. And,
4 for 16, I think, yeah.
Yeah. So, but, watching the game and then some of the details come out after the game about he's never had first team snaps, and the biggest one is the offensive lineman never heard his cadence before. That's huge. I mean, they don't know you trying to draw somebody outside. His cadence will draw them outside because they just don't know it. And when I was listening to ESPN, Dan Orlovsky spent majority of his years in the NFL as a backup quarterback, and he was saying there's very seldom times he got first team.
Yeah, but Orlovsky, I don't think he was a number 2 anywhere though. He was always the third on the depth chart type of guy.
I think he was number 2 in Detroit.
He may have been number 2 in Detroit. That 0-16.
And I know he was a backup for the Texans one time as well during the Shaw era. So I think he was number 2 for those times.
Wow.
But even with that, they Cam, well, especially the way Cam played, he was like Ron Rivera was like, dude, you one hit away from not being on the field. So his backup quarterback, he was getting a certain amount of snaps with the first team, which makes sense to me because he's your backup. In NFL, especially recently, starting quarterbacks are just going down. We was just talking about Penix for Atlanta. So to not have your quarterback getting first team snaps to the point where the O-line don't even know his cadence, haven't heard his cadence before, yeah, that's huge. But now he's going to have a whole week to prepare, get acquainted more with the offensive line. So we'll see him basically start from the get-go in the next game. I forgot who they playing against, though.
Look it up right now.
The Jets, I think.
Oh, well, I mean, if there's a team he could get a good rep start to, I mean, that'd be one of them.
Dante, your thoughts on the situation? Well, first of all, like I said, the game, I mean, going in, your number 2 starter, and he got no reps with the first team offense.
What I'll say is this: what I heard about people that cover the league, and they were saying that it's time and place for the starters to get a lot of the reps, but more so when the guy is a rookie. It's a weird situation to have 2 rookies on the depth chart getting the snaps. Normally, one would just be inactive. And so this is a weird situation. So I'll take that start that he got. I didn't put much stock into it. I know a lot of people I would say people that are fans of Shedeur sometimes take it too far, but I would say the haters of him take it to another level as well. So I was like, I think they need to look themselves in the face too and be like, you're doing too much. Like I'm in the Facebook group and it's just like, y'all just love to just, rag on him and Coach Prime, and it's crazy. But he said, no matter what happens, Shedeur fails. They have 74 excuses, the refs, the line receivers. I mean, see, Scam, right on point with what I'm saying. Like, look, he has a chance to start and he has a chance to get the reps against a bad defense. He does need to look considerably better this week. If not, he is going to prove the NFL scout people right about why they took you at this point. It also, to me, seems as if Stefanski can say what he wants. It looks like he wanted Dylan Gabriel as a chance to give him a shot, and that's his guy. But it looks like the front office was like, we can't take the value of Shedeur Sanders, and we want to take him. And so that's where things get weird. And so we've seen situations where quarterbacks that have been drafted higher, there were politics in play, and they didn't want them. What's his name? Jeff Fisher did not want Vince Young.
Oh, that was tragic.
He did not want him, and that's the top 4 pick. So that's something that for the guys that are the anti-Shedeur people, just remember that those things and how coaches feel about somebody, that does mean something. I just want to look forward to him getting a full week of practice and seeing hopefully he looks better. I do think he's a better quarterback prospect than Gabriel because Gabriel is older and he's a guy that had a lot more reps in college. But I don't see him as the guy getting it done. That guy, I know we do the small quarterback thing, but the short quarterback thing but he has nothing physically talent where you can be like, he's got a cannon or he's got a lot of mobility. It's like, oh, his mental process. And it's like, well, Shedeur's a pretty decent mental processor and he's pretty accurate as well. So I just don't see it with Gabriel. I thought he was more of a guy that's just a college guy, pretty awesome in college. But I just want him to get his shot. And then everybody on the Shedeur side and the anti-Shedeur side or the anti-Shedeur / anti-Prime side just excel a little bit. And let's just be, have an open eye to what we're seeing and be realistic,
Well, I can understand if a coach wants a particular quarterback because at the end of the day, that coach is going to be the main one responsible for coaching them. His pretty much career, his tenure with that team is pretty much tied to his starting quarterback. So there's a coach, yeah. So Stefanski, yeah, Gabriel was Stefanski guy. Sanders was Barry guy, Andrew Barry. But I mean but if a coach is going to be coaching them, hey, this your guy, but your future is tied to this dude. So you better get him up. You could probably look at the Vikings with J.J. McCarthy. Darnold's looking good coming out, still in Seattle, and he was looking good for Minnesota. But then you got McCarthy.
That's a different deal, though. That's a different deal because they decided to go with the first round pick, and I know they're thinking, is that anti-coddling? Hey, I hear you on the anti-coddling. He said those are very. Hey, I hear you on that. My thing is, I just wanted to give him a fair shot. I know, like, look, people will be in the chat and be sensible, but I know overall on social media they're gonna go crazy. If he does throw for 300, they're gonna want to put him in camp. Some people gonna want to put him in camp. But now, Shawty, what I was saying about that, they made that decision to say, why spend that money on him when we invested here and you can take that pie? Like we always say, that cheat code is that rookie quarterback. And it's just kind of like, it's just that he hurt the first year. So this is like his rookie year, really playing. So, and he's been hurt. So they're in a situation where they're going to really hope that McCarthy really works out. But he's a guy that was from a run-heavy team in college. So I don't think you're going to see him just spreading the ball around.
Gotcha.
That's not his game yet.
All right. Since you guys are here, I want to give you guys your Lamar Jackson moment. So here it is right here. So again, 1-5 before the bye, 4-0 cents. Just flat out, who wins the AFC North?
Who wins?
I got the Ravens.
AFC North? I got the Ravens.
Got the Ravens. Okay. So it's me against it's me against the world.
Well, so I ask this: do you have confidence that the Steelers will be able to win enough games?
Yes.
Let me look at their schedule.
They're pretty. I mean, they have 2 games with the Ravens. So again, this is the heart of the heart of the schedule. They got the Browns on the schedule. They got they already beat New England. I think the Ravens have New England at the schedule towards the end of the year. So again, a lot of these games are going to come down to the Ravens schedule. They got the Jets coming up this week, then the Bengals, Steelers, Bengals again. So they got 2 games coming up against the Bengals. They got the Patriots, they got the Packers, and then they got the Steelers to wind down the year. So it's going to be fairly relatively competitive. I mean, Cincinnati, they'll put up points, but we got to see, we got to see if the Ravens can slow those guys down. But yeah, I mean, it's just like this is going to be the thick. We're gonna have our shots, and no one's going to be able to say anything towards the end of the year. But I pick our record against the Ravens, especially lifetime. I think we have a winning record. I think we're like 8-3 against Lamar. So yeah, I'm riding with Pittsburgh.
I mean, I understand that one. It's just I feel like momentum wise is where it has trending. It's just like the Steelers had one of them hot starts and then kind of stumbled. Ravens were the opposite, and now they're kind of going in the right direction. The only thing I would say that the Ravens have to look out for is, hey man, you keep seeing Lamar on the injury report. Keep seeing him on the injury report, and then you just Derrick Henry. I think we're kind of seeing, hey, this is the running back kind of the age catching up, the hits, the touches. I think we're starting to see that a little bit.
Gotcha. Moving on here. Just get back to the slides. Again, these are quick hits. Not going to drag it out too long tonight, but let's get into the college football scene. So again, we had a major I wouldn't call this a major upset. Anytime you have Alabama and anytime you have Alabama and Oklahoma going at it, clearly, it's going to be competitive. But Alabama, again, I gave them credit. They got up to 4 in the rankings. And obviously the rankings came out. They dropped to 10. I think they're still going to be, in the dance. It's going to be pretty competitive still. Those teams may meet up again, certainly in the playoffs picture. But anything from this week, again, Indiana, like I said, it's a great story. But when you got the powerhouses, they got to show me that they can be the powerhouse program. And I don't think they can do that. Another thing from the weekend, I didn't put it in the slides, but I don't know if you want to talk about it, if it's worth talking about the incident in the Texas A&M game where, again, the guy scored and then you had the cop. He just, I don't know what he was on. But any thoughts from, again, this weekend, any takeaways, certainly from the shakeup, the biggest shakeup obviously being Alabama dropping to 10 in the rankings.
Well, so, I think Texas dropping out the top 10, but
that was just terrible, man. That was a terrible game.
I think much props to, I think you saw on both ends of the spectrum that A&M could be a potential title contender. If you was watching that game versus South Carolina, it seemed like every single play was going the Gamecocks' way.
Yeah.
I mean, Reed couldn't hit a receiver dropping touchdowns, field goals. I think they were getting blocked or missed, but everything. And then all of a sudden, Reed was throwing interceptions. Everything in that first half was going Gamecocks' way. So basically, A&M was down 30-3. So you saw pretty much the absolute worst of that team, a top 3 team. And then I'm telling you, man, the way they flipped the switch in the second half. I mean, they end up winning the game 31-30. So South Carolina didn't score a point after that. Next thing you know, A&M getting 3 and outs, huge on defense. Reed just all of a sudden just looked like a Heisman winner already in the second half. It was a tale of 2 halves, and it just showed you like as much of a hole they was in, as big of a hole. I think it's the biggest one I think it's the biggest comeback victory in SEC history, I believe. But as big of a hole they find themselves in halftime, and to just all of a sudden flip a switch like that and totally turn it in the second half, that was a message sent, I believe, to the rest of the college football. Like, this team is legit. And to go from that low and to come back, yeah, that I was watching that game, and they almost still could have lost that game because they got too cute in the red zone. They trying to do whatever stuff, just kicking the field goal when they could have had it, but they defense pulled through again. And but as I'm going through, yeah, all the other teams, I believe they were. I forgot how much more polls we have left until the final.
Yeah, we just got a few because we got the one coming up this next week, and then that's the last because I want to say like next week is the last week of the regular season, and then it's championship week, and then
Right.
that's
Now
I'll
the
keep
way they're
rolling.
doing it now, just because you're in the poll, that doesn't necessarily mean make it into the playoffs.
Yeah,
That's still a selection. So I know you got Miami who had a bad loss a few weeks ago and whatnot. They're trying to eke themselves back into the dance or whatnot. I don't know if they can make that leap into the
I think they should because I think the biggest thing is we talk about a lot of teams getting preferential treatment. Notre Dame being up there when they lost to Miami, it's kind of crazy, and they don't really have they don't have any good wins. And then they don't have a conference. I firmly believe two things are gonna probably happen. Because I've heard that I don't honestly, as a Texas fan, I don't believe they deserve to make the playoff. But the one thing you will say is, if you send a message, if they happen to, and that's only if they happen to beat A&M, in that case they will have beaten A&M, who's right now number 3. They'll have beaten Oklahoma, and they'll have beaten Vanderbilt, who's ranked above them. So they have 3 pretty quality wins, despite having the bad loss to Georgia, the loss to Ohio State. Can't punish them too much, close games to that one, and then the bad loss to Florida. What you will see is if you see teams get punished, you're going to see teams schedule like Notre Dame. Now they can't schedule all the way because they're playing a conference, but Notre Dame, you lost to the big dogs, and I think they might have beat one. I think they beat USC. Maybe USC is their best win, and USC is, they're okay. And I think I think the committee needs to say, hey, Notre Dame, sit them out 1 year and be like, you need to get down with the ACC. You play all those games, join the ACC, make their league stronger. You're not going to join the Big Ten. We know that, but go ahead and join the ACC. You're in it in basketball, and stop letting them make it off of the independent thing. Like this ain't the 90s. This ain't the 80s.
Gotcha. Well, interesting segue. You mentioned the ACC because obviously the biggest news coming out of the ACC this past year, James Franklin joins Virginia Tech. I think this is a great move for him. Obviously, got the $49 million buyout from Penn State. Didn't take a lot of time off, and I especially like it when you have, especially with black coaches. Sometimes you don't get necessarily that next opportunity very soon. They seem to. I watched this whole press conference today. They seem to be very aggressive in wanting to pick him up and bring to that program. It's a great atmosphere. Now, they haven't been relevant since, I don't know, the Michael Vick days or maybe his brother after that. But certainly, I think that's certainly a program that he can certainly make into a top 20 program within a couple years. So again, I think this is an excellent pick because I don't think he was going to be slated to go to Florida State or some of these other schools. But I think certainly if he wants to sort of rebuild his reputation, I think this was a nice landing spot for him. So your thoughts on Franklin going to VT, and what do you think the prospects are for the program? I love this.
One more point about when we was just going over the polls.
Yeah.
Remember, Notre Dame had just a 3-point loss at Miami in the beginning of the season. I think Miami's biggest issue, because remember they lost to SMU.
Yeah, that was
SMU. So that's why Miami is where Miami is at right now. That was a big loss, and it was a top 10 team at that time.
No, it was that one. It was didn't they lose to? It was Miami. No, it was them. I think it was more so that game. Who did they lose to? They were
Miami was a top 10 team, and then when they lost, they lost to SMU. So that's why Miami's in the hole they're in right now. Yeah. But as far as this coaching hire, it's a good hire for Virginia Tech. They pretty much well known. They more known for their entrance right now than winning games. They fans get all they juice and stuff coming out when the players run with that inner Sandman.
The Sandman entrance.
But after that, it's over. They haven't really been
lost.
Yeah, so you know they just been getting hyped the first 5 minutes of the stadium, you know, the introduction, and then it's over with for them. But I think James Franklin, he's a good head coach. I know his thing with Penn State, he wasn't winning the big ones. That was his whole thing. But he turned around Vanderbilt when he was there. He definitely, because remember he was the head coach after all that mess Penn State
Yeah, the
that came out
Sandusky
about them.
issue.
So
Yep.
he definitely led them to a semifinal game last year. Um, so I think he's obviously a good recruiter because you just look at some of the players he had while he was at Penn State. So I think he's going to do the same thing at Virginia Tech. I think it's going to be harder because Virginia Tech is not viewed in college football like Penn State, you know.
Yeah.
But if he was able to do that at Vanderbilt, you know, it's just only thing because also with Penn State, that's a Big Ten school, and obviously right now with all the realignment that we got in college football, it's Big Ten, SEC, and then there's everybody else, including ACC. So
Yeah.
it's going to be a harder recruiting trip because you're already going to a school that's not really viewed, especially in today's generation. They don't
Yeah.
view
Today's
Vi
standard, it's
they
not
don't
viewed.
view Tech like them other schools. So that's going to be harder to get players to come, recruits to come there, and then so that's a knock. And then the fact that you playing your schools in the ACC. The only team that's really known in the ACC is Miami. You know, when it comes to
Clemson.
football.
We're still in the era
Florida
of Clemson.
Florida
You know,
State here and there, but right, you know, but both of those teams are viewed higher than Tech.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
But I think he's
it,
like I said, I think he certainly brings some prestige to the program.
he
You know,
will.
Clemson's not because I mean, Clemson had a
Yeah.
stranglehold on ACC for almost like a decade.
Clemson is a good team, but because they coach the way he feels about NIL and all that and transfer
Yeah.
portal,
So they're not going to be. Yeah.
they
So and
pigeonholed right now.
yeah.
He's
He's been
pigeonholed.
the downfall of them. He's been the downfall of them, and he's just not wanting to change. But
Hmm.
I think it's a good move. I think it's a bigger move for Virginia Tech to get him to go there. This is clearly one of those. Let me take a step down. Let me build this up, and it's one of those. He's playing with house money. If he builds it up and they pay him enough, I can stay here if I got it because you got the ACC. You can dominate and run that league like Clemson did, and because Florida State don't look like they're coming back anytime soon and you can do it. And then if you build them up, then you can go and get somebody else and get another big job. Because now all the big jobs are going to be sealed up because you're going to have what LSU's open, Florida's open, Florida State might open up. You know, you got so many big, Penn State's open still. You got so many big jobs that are open right now. Others that could come open. So it's going to take that 3 to 4 years for it to come open again. Well, maybe two, just because the way that the portal is now, and I would say is when they go up to 16 playoff teams, watch how fast coaches get fired. Even faster than this, because it's like you can't get a portal class, a couple of good blue chip recruits with this money we paying, and get to the postseason. Now you gotta go. And I think you're gonna see the boosters get crazy with this, especially with these new regulations coming in. We don't know how that's gonna look. Because I've heard there's some teams like a Texas Tech is the number 5 team. I've heard that Texas Tech has never had a retention bill. Ohio State knows about a retention bill. Texas, Georgia does. They never had like, hey, we have to keep this guy. And now they're going to have to do that. And I want to see how they manage it. Because now they're going to be looking at your NIL with more scrutiny. So,
Gotcha. I just put into the chat. So Anton, certainly I want to bring him up to do certainly. I know he's big on the NHL, so I want to give him that opportunity to share some insights on that. But I also want to give him a shout out as well. This was actually if he wasn't going to come up, I was going to save this as one of my closing comments. But I want to say congrats to Haiti. I know my man's certainly strong roots for the first time in a long time. He's qualified for the 2026 World Cup. And, so certainly shout outs and congrats to them. I know a lot of my friends, they're all from that. They definitely rep for Haiti hard. So, again, a big accomplishment for them. But I'm going to invite my man Anton to the stage. So if he's coming up, hopefully his all right, so I just brought you up, sir. So, let me know if you can join or not. If you can't, then I think we could probably look to land. Oh, while he's there, there he is. How you doing, Anton? Yours?
what's going on, S1?
What's up, man?
What's going? Yeah, I'm good. Can you hear me now?
You can
Yeah, what's
hear
going
you.
on, Sean? What's going on, Dante?
Your
Mr.
video's struggling a
Bennett,
little bit, but we can hear you.
Jersey.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Yeah, struggling again, bro. So if you can work on the if you can work on that video, let us know. But I would say in the meantime,
Come
while
on,
he's trying
choppy.
to, yeah, you're choppy.
Ah,
You're still choppy coming in. So if you could work on that. So I want to give you a floor to talk a little hockey, and like I told you the other night, I think you are primed to do a hockey show. You know more about hockey, not only the NHL, but you have your pulse on the World Game.
come
Olympics is
on,
coming
come
up
on.
soon, so you have a lot of knowledge and whatnot. So if you had your like a sports show, or even if we can talk about maybe if you want to do a segment here, but I think you certainly have such a knowledge of the game that you could certainly have your own show, and that's for real. But in the meantime, while he's still working out his connection issues. Want you guys? I think the last segment of the night we want to talk about. So obviously we know about the Nico firing in Dallas. So what is the state of the Mavericks at this point? Are they doing an active search for a new GM, or what's the plan now for that franchise? You still got guys trying to get healthy. So what's the current state of the Mavericks, and just the mood of the city after all? So again, is everybody wanted Nico gone? But I don't know if that's necessarily going to improve the lot of your team at this point. I don't know if they're going to necessarily turn it around. But what's the overall vibe on Nico, and where does Dallas go from here? I'll start with Dante, and then we can circle back.
He had to go. A lot of people, like I know one guy that literally it was just like too little, too late. There's a lot of that sentiment. Some of it is they want more. Like they feel like they want to get down to it and figure out if Kid was in on it, then he's got to go. They want everybody associated with that decision gone because they want to go just basically clear it all the way down. And it makes a lot of sense if you be honest about it. I know Cuban came out and said something about, oh no, they want to keep Anthony Davis. I think that's literally a ploy to get trade value because if they literally, I don't know if you guys saw Tim McMahon that weekend before he was fired, they had came out with stories that man, scam. Detroit is really impressing me. But they came out with stories like Nico could be gone by a certain time, and then he was gone later on that week. Up to the meet where Sean posted is like at his meeting today, he's going to be let go. So the beat reporters are on top of the news. There's basically been a trade that's been proposed that's sending Anthony Davis to Chicago. He's a Chicago native, and the salary still works because he does have a high salary. But I do think the Mavericks only control their pick this draft. After this year, all their picks are swaps or they don't have them at all. I do think you need to go and what's looked at as a good draft. Go ahead and tank it out. Get a player to pair with Flag and build everything completely around Cooper Flag. Bring Kyrie
Oh,
back.
you think already the team that's the plan to build the team around Cooper? You think he's that
I,
good?
I, I think so, just because Anthony Davis has already shown you he's not going to stay healthy. And it's just, you really almost need to get rid of every remnant of this trade. You wanted to get this deal to build a contender, and now you're going to look at it. I think it's a chance for a reset. Kyrie is going to be 30 in his early 30s, coming off of surgery. He's a guy that's hurt already. He's a smaller guard. Your salary cap is hell. You and Nico built this team to have a short run. He always said it to have a championship run. But when you look at it, you gave up the better player, but the team that got the star is having a run up to the top of the West, and you're at the bottom. It's so hard to climb out of the West. They don't have enough talent. They don't have the pieces. It is time. I think it is time to look like, look, you don't have to do too much ripping up to the studs. They wasn't winning with those guys while they're there. So if you can get value while you can, trade and get a pick in this year's draft and a pick, in the future, and get some other pieces and keep them around and do what you can. But I don't think you can go all in and double down and try to win with this team. I think you would go into that place where I think the Rockets were before Morey got there, but it just kept being, oh, just missing the playoffs, and that part of the lottery where you don't get a difference maker. But I would say the Metroplex was definitely most happy about the move and relieved that it happened.
Gotcha. Shawnee?
Yeah, Dante basically explained it from as far as the Mavericks and the fan base. Yeah, they was happy when Harris they got the news that Harrison going to be out. But my whole thing is, and I shared it in the chat, this whole this cons- Dallas conspiracy that has been going on that happened when the Luka trade first came out. So they, the NBA, they call them governors now instead of owners, but we still call them owners. When Adelson and DeMont purchased the team from Mark Cuban at the time, DeMont and them, they really wanted, because they not basketball, they don't have really basketball knowledge. They come from a casino background, so their whole thing was trying to potentially get a casino put in AAC. Well, this is Texas. We don't have casinos here. They have them in Oklahoma, but not here in Texas. So obviously, the city and the state they turned that down, but they turned that down, I guess, after Cuban already sold the team. Well, there was and then the Luka trade came. So there was a conspiracy that there's like, okay, these new owners traded Luka or got Harrison to trade, encouraged him to trade Luka, so they can kind of bring turn the fan base, the local fan base against the Mavericks so bad, they don't want to attend the games and all that stuff, to where now they will have a legit reason to move the team to Vegas. Mm-hmm. So right after the Luka trade, that was kind of, oh, y'all gonna move to Vegas, Then the owner came and said, no, we don't have no plans. They came out and stated that we're not moving the team to Vegas. This is just basketball. Even though when they bought the team from Cuban made a point to say, hey, I'm still going to have majority basketball decisions. But he wasn't involved in this, and so we was wondering what happened with that.
So there was never a serious move to Vegas ever.
The owners they squashed that. They squashed that. It was a rumor. The city was talking about the owners squashed that. So fast forward, now you're getting reports about the Dallas Stars. Dallas Stars and Dallas Mavericks share the same building, AAC. The Stars are looking into actually moving north to a northern Dallas suburb, Frisco. So because, and they were just looking, okay, they looking to move north. I believe Frisco, I think which made sense when they do research for the fans attending their games. They saw that many fans was coming from the northern DFW suburbs. So like, we just move up there. It made sense at the time. Now because, they share a lease with this arena, all of a sudden you saw seeing reports that Dallas is potentially suing the Stars if they're going to move out and break this lease with the arena. Now, fast forward again. So that message that I sent y'all earlier, basically the Stars claim that the Mavericks was actually looking into potentially moving the team to Vegas.
Wow.
And public records show, it's public records from the Texas Secretary of State in 2024 under the new owners, Adelson and DeMont. The Mavericks officially listed Las Vegas as their home base. And so now that was probably one of the reasons why the Stars was looking to go up north, because now there's the Stars escalate the legal battle with the Mavericks by claiming their HQ was moved to Vegas, the Mavericks headquarters. So now you kind of starting to see these little puzzle pieces. The fans, it was a conspiracy when the Luka trade happened. But now you're starting to see these little pieces coming together. It's like, man, and then right after that trade happened, the owners came out, we are not moving the team from Dallas. We are keeping them here in Dallas. We are not moving them to Vegas.
I hear him with the headquarters thing, but that's a smoking gun. But my thing is, Vegas is I won't say nothing market, but it's thought of as a glamorous place, but market share size, that's not going to help the NBA much in what they like. They're about markets, and losing DFW, It's already there. I mean, the Mavericks are losing it for them, but I just don't know if that will happen.
And that is my
what
thing.
I understand, Texas, again, there's no plan for any kind of gambling or any kind of things like that in Texas. Not even Dallas. Dallas can't even. DFW can't even say.
They're not yet. I would say this is a huge. Allison is a huge GOP donor, and I would say the plan, you could kind of tell how politics works is she needs some more palms greased, and it's just and need more time. And I would say
a whole lot more
because
probably.
I think Oklahoma does gambling, right?
We talked about Oklahoma is just like an hour away. They have big casinos there.
Yeah.
Like huge casinos where they just basically kind of built to cater towards people in the DFW to come. Like they have whole buses that come from the area. They go over there, gamble, and then come back. Like it's crazy.
Wow. Yeah, and it seems like that would be a revenue stream. Now, Texas, they have like other lotteries. They have like a lottery, right? They have
there's a lottery.
They have lotteries and stuff like that. So they're not totally against. What about like horse betting or any kind of?
Yeah, there's a horse track in Grand Prairie. Like they have everything but everything but casino and the game. They even have like the whole prize fix thing that you could do now. They have everything but that stuff, and that's what I think. That's what they're choosing to say is probably that. But the only thing with that is, I do think there's a downside to it. But I think the people that are looking at the money, the revenue, they're probably gonna be like, look at this extra revenue you can bring in, especially with all the extra people coming to Texas.
So
we get full.
You can see these crumbs now. It's not set in stone by them potentially moving. Like I say, because I think as the NBA shouldn't even think about moving the Mavericks to Vegas because it's not.
It should be a straight expansion team.
Yeah, it's not just Dallas. It's a whole metroplex that supports this team. So they get money up throughout this whole metroplex to a smaller area like Vegas. Vegas can't compete with DFW in that nature. Bedtime.
Yes, Anton, I know you were trying to get up here tonight. If you want, reach out to me so we can work on the some of the connection stuff because it definitely seems like there's something with the it might be just the resources. I used to have that problem, so so if we can't get you on this week, we'll work on making sure that you're good for upcoming shows. But I think we're at a point now we can start to wind this thing down. If you guys want, we can take a look, I guess, at the Week 12 matchups in the NFL. Let me just bring that schedule up and just look at some of the key matchups. You have a lot of conference games coming up. So again, you got the Cowboys coming up in their rematch. You got the Chargers, Kansas City. Again, that's going to be certainly a must-win for Kansas City, Tampa Bay, and the Falcons, Carolina Panthers. That's also another good one. What else is on the schedule here? Any games that are kind of sticking out for you guys against the hang on. Actually, hang on. But yeah, any games that you know of off the rip that you guys want to highlight while I bring up the schedule up, we can just kind of hash it out and then we can just wind the show down.
Yeah, what I'm doing, I need to get it.
I say the biggest one, but I'm trying to think besides who's the Sunday night game? Because I know
Thursday is going to be a good game.
Who's Thursday? That's
Bills and the Texans.
No Stroud though. That's what hurts that one.
Yeah, I'm just interested to see how the Texans defense goes against.
I want to see how the Texans. I want to see how the Texas defense does to keep them around because Nico Ryans is a defensive coach and he knows that he's wounded without his quarterback. I want to see how they fight because Buffalo doesn't. They escape a lot of criticism. I know you said from us. I can be critical of Josh Allen. It seems like the national media just kind of just dances around. And 1 week it's man, he needs help, and then 1 week he's Superman. And it's just like they gave him the running game. You got rid of Diggs. You didn't replace Diggs, and that's the one thing that worries about them. But when they get to the playoffs, who's gonna get open? Who the hell is going to get open for them? But I say that's a game. I didn't think about that one. And the Thursday night games have definitely been better. I also say, that Cowboys-Eagles, that means a lot. Because it's kind of like if the Eagles lose that game and it's another bad offensive performance and it's to Dallas, they are going to go crazy in Philadelphia. And I love it. I love it. Our local radio literally spies on their radio when they lose a game because the Philly fans, that passion is crazy. It's so fun to drink their tears, man. And so I'm really looking forward to that. I know me and Shiny got another engagement at that time, but I'm still gonna be locked in.
Yeah. To me, there's two games that I'm really keeping my eyes on. You got the Rams play the Rams at the Bucks. Again, I think that was a bad loss by the Buccaneers, and the Rams they're like one of the hottest teams right now. But that could mean a major opportunity for the division because Monday night the Panthers play the 49ers. So
that's
the
my
winners
sneaky
of those
game
games
of the week.
That's a sneaky game.
That's my sneaky game of the week right there. I was about to say that right after Dante finished. That 49ers Panthers game was my sneaky game of the week. I think it's time we got to give the Panthers a credit. You know, I mean, they record may not be up there with the Eagles and whatnot, but they have been competitive at games. Like you have to bring your A game to beat them.
Yeah.
So that's I think obviously I have the 49ers in the edge because I believe they're playing in San Fran. So
yeah, I would still favor the Panthers over the 49ers more so than the Buccaneers beating the Rams. So again, if that happens, then they flip. So Panthers go to first place in that division then, if that goes down. So again, that's going to be a major game. I think Cowboys Eagles is always interesting. You know, we'll see if certainly if they can turn around there because again, Eagles haven't been winning impressively, but they've been winning, and we'll see if they can certainly turn that around. And then Shedeur, he may well get his first win because they're playing the Raiders. So that's not a both
they're playing the Raiders or the Jets.
The 23rd, Browns playing the Raiders. At least one I'm saying.
Oh, yeah. I don't know why I was thinking the Jets before, but yeah.
Yeah, Jets are playing the Ravens. So that should be a win for the Ravens, but we gotta see how that rolls. But I think we got a guy on. Anton, you good? You muted, sir. You muted. Turn your mic on.
Can you hear us, Anton?
Can you hear us, sir?
How about now?
All right, that's good.
I can hear you guys. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. What's going on?
All right, sorry about that. I mean, I was trying to get everything. I thought I had everything all set up for some reason. I don't know why it was acting up. Sorry about that.
Gotcha.
Thanks for having me on and everything else. I apologize for the delays. I thought I had everything all set up.
Yeah.
I was busy trying to play catch up with what happened with the final World Cup.
Oh.
Okay, now you're starting to break up a little bit. You're breaking
from yesterday.
You're breaking up. Your video is better, obviously, because you turned the background off. The only thing I would say is if you have any other browser sessions open, close your browsers.
And
you should only have the one browser session open if you're on, because I know browser can certainly suck up a lot of CPU. So close any other browsers.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can
hear you, but you just the problem is you go in and out.
You kind of skipping a bit.
Mm-hmm.
All right. How about now? Can you hear me now?
We can hear.
We can hear.
It's just about how long we can.
Because all right, good. Yeah, hopefully because I'm closer to the router now than when I was before.
Right.
All right.
All right. So real quick.
I heard you guys talking about. Okay.
Now I'm saying, so your initial thoughts, Haiti making it to the World Cup. I don't know if they've ever been to a World Cup before. It's been a long time. So again, I know you're proud Haitian.
Actually, this is their first. This is their first trip since 1974.
Wow.
And for them to go back, despite the fact they haven't. Yeah, and for the fact that they haven't played a home game in Haiti in the last, I believe, 3 or 4 years. To get to this point is even more remarkable because of all the things that's been going on in Port-au-Prince. So I remember hearing stories from my parents and from my relatives when they first made the World Cup back in '74 and how much proud they were because they brought attention to the island and everything else. And for that, and surprisingly, most people didn't realize they were the first island for the Caribbean to qualify for the World Cup. And I think this was at a time when they only had 24 teams in the tournament. Right. And I think what helped with the fact that this tournament being played here in the U.S. as well as in Canada and Mexico, and the fields expanded to 48, I think that's what definitely helped them get to make the cut. Because right now, I mean, they were playing their games in Curacao. I believe they played some games in Suriname and in the Dominican Republic. Right. But right now, with some stuff going on with the president of DR, he doesn't want them there, which really sucks. But for the fact that Curacao allowed them to play on their soil, shout out to them. And thank you for allowing our national team for.
Okay, Anton, you're breaking up again.
The internet just don't want to cooperate.
Yeah, say that again because I was hearing.
No, say now you
what you were trying to say, and then it started.
No, just saying
sorry about that.
Now saying you're starting to break up again, but no, I was just saying now it's just great that Haiti's certainly getting the opportunity to represent, and like I said, I got a lot of friends who are from Haiti or from Haitian background. Oh, wow. So it's definitely folks are definitely getting hyped up for it. So it should be really exciting when it comes down. But any news? I think I might have talked to you a couple days ago on the hockey situation. So again, if you want to give, so I'll give you this. If you can in 2 minutes, because as we wind down the show, if you can in 2 minutes, give us a summary of what's the current. I think he bounced off again. Okay. So we'll continue to work on that to try to give you a segment. But yeah, I would love to give you a sort of hockey NHL wrap up. But I'm telling you, he was talking to me the other night, and again, he knew more than was what the brother from the Canadian brother who does the hockey on ESPN. I think his name is
PK Subban.
PK Subban, yeah. So he was he was rattling stuff off. Not only that game, but the World Game and whatnot. And he had the details on the World Game leading up to the Winter Olympics and whatnot. And he knows that scene all the way down. So
I think if I was raised in the North, I probably would know something about hockey. But being here in the South, I mean, Dallas has a hockey team, and they have their followers. They little niche followers.
Loyal followers.
But it's
now. Let me ask you, since you guys are in Dallas, are these like? Because I know DFW is kind of like a transplant city, right? They got people from all over the country. Are these like native Texans who just adopted hockey, or are these fans that are coming from these states, like these northern states that might have liked hockey? They moved to Dallas for jobs and opportunity, and they just carried their fandom with them. Or is there a legit hockey fan base that has been growing? Same thing in Carolina and whatnot, or in Tampa. Are these legit? It's homegrown.
It's legit homegrown because I remember the championship in '99. I was even watching because it was on before all the TV could go everywhere. It was on local TV. And you could watch it, so you was interested. So it was like, okay, cool. They repping the Metroplex, cool. And like I would say, I didn't know now I know as an adult, it was the niche big thing to do. It was the new thing to do. Cowboys wasn't so good, and a lot of people were like, hey, the cool thing was to go to Stars games. And so it became a buzz at that point, and then it kept growing because they hadn't been here too long for moving from Minnesota. So they had like got here and had some success quick, and that built a base. And when I see people, the few people I do see, they are from here locally and just they really into it. And then there are it's small, but some of the bigger high schools do have hockey teams. Mm-hmm. Some of them, it's not real publicized, but it's like some of the bigger ones. Like I want to say my daughter's high school might have had one at one point because it's a 6A school. But like, the big schools that can afford the budget, they'll do it. But there is like a small but really loyal following because when I went to when I was still doing the security for the stadiums, I worked the game that they had at the Cotton Bowl, and it was a really good showing. It was
now,
a really good
one
showing.
thing I've always heard about. Now, I have never. Again, me and Nantel, we got the Devils in New Jersey, so I've never been to a professional an NHL game, but I've always been told it's one of the best games to see visually, like TV.
Hearing about it.
even
hearing
when
about it. I
4K
wanna go.
came out, because like they said, you couldn't appreciate the game until 4K TV came out. That's when you can see the puck and plus the wide screen, you can see the whole ice there. But they said there's nothing like going to a hockey game live to see a game. That's a very exciting venue. So I need to certainly commit to that and see if I can get to it.
I think
get to a
about
game.
in Dallas, I think they would get more. I mean, like Dante said, they have their fan base. I mean, when you see a game, you'll see the random people wearing green, because they play jersey and whatnot.
Mhm.
But because of where they're at, like DFW is owned by the Cowboys. It's just, I mean, pretty much that's a no-brainer.
Mhm.
So because the Cowboys just command so much attention, not only in this metroplex but this state, because majority of the state goes for the Cowboys. The Texans are literally Houston and their vicinity, and that's
Right.
it.
But even back in the 70s, the Love You Blue era with the Houston Oilers, it was still kind of regional. It was
Houston Metroplex.
It was fanatic. They were fanatical down there, but it was like it was Houston, and outside of that, it was like nothing.
Basically, when the Cowboys started winning there, like during the Roger Staubach days, and then it definitely got solidified in the 90s, especially in the 90s, because the Oilers, Houston lost their NFL franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Cowboys just took over Texas.
Yeah.
So, but within DFW, because they happen to play in the same market as the Cowboys, if they wasn't here, I think you would hear more about the Stars. The Stars.
I think because I want to say the pecking order, and I didn't realize this because I'm not the biggest baseball guy, but that's the second team that's been here the longest. The Rangers been here since '72, so they had a foothold, even though they didn't do any winning. It was still your team, and it was before a lot of team hopping. But they have a strong on as number two. But the thing is, as far as I know, my wife I was talking to her today. I was like, championship success wise, the Mavericks have the more recent title, but the Stars have been in the conference finals and the finals a lot frequently, and they just haven't been able to break through.
Yeah. So you would probably if you were to rank the Dallas sports scene by sport. So Cowboys, would you say
Rangers are two?
Yeah,
Texas Rangers, then the Mavericks.
I think it used to be Cowboys Mavericks, but after the Rangers won the World Series in '23, Cowboys, Rangers, Mavericks especially dropped after the Luka trade.
Yeah,
and
after
then
the Stars. But I would say at this point, the Stars with the success they're having and the way the Mavericks are going, you can kind of firmly put the Stars right there at the third spot. Like you can probably firmly put them there because the Mavericks people are so down on the team, and it's just kind of like they're there. But what I will say, Shawnee, is I always thought it was that way because of the Stars with the Mavericks with the 50-win seasons and all of that and the sellouts in the 2000s. But I found out that no, the strongest of the Rangers, all the Rangers need is one good season, and then their attendance numbers are going to be right back up. They love the Rangers, and I thought because of Dirk they were firmly too. I found out that I was wrong on that one. I thought it was, even though I'm not a Mavs fan. I saw the MFFLs and if people go crazy, but they are destroying their reputation right now.
Now, in between those professional franchises, I know college football is big down there. Is it UT that has it, or Baylor, or where? As far as the college landscape,
nobody really gets the love. And it is weird because I live in Fort Worth, so TCU's up the street, and that's the local team. SMU is in Dallas, but those are small schools. Those are small, religious colleges or whatever. So they're small, so they don't get a lot of footprint, but you do see them visible. It's basically Texas and A&M, and I think Dallas is more.
Remember this, Dante.
Because it seems like I keep.
We can hear you. Your video is still. I mean, if you want to turn your video off and just see if you can speak through audio, that's fine too. Because the video is still kind of jerky, but as long as your audio is good, and like I said, if you want to have a segment just to talk a little hockey before you go on, so you can turn that off. Can you still hear us? Anton, can you hear us? Okay, so he's still struggling there as well. Yeah, so we're gonna have to work.
I can hear you guys. Hold on. No.
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you. Yeah. But again, if the video skips or
All
whatever, then again, you can turn your video off, and you could just, we can just hear you through the audio. That'll work also. But again, we wanted to kind of give you, we're just kind of filling space as winding down the show. But if you wanted to give, again, I would say a 2-minute summary of the current state of either you want to talk about either the current state of the NHL, since I know we're just a couple weeks into the regular season, or if you want to talk about news happening with the World Game, and again the Olympics is coming up in 26. If you want to kind of give a high level, you still there? Anton, are you still there?
He's going.
You're going in and out, bro. All right, so we may have to table that, but listen, reach out to me, and and let's work on let's work on getting this better. Again, you're in New Jersey, so we can definitely work on making sure you get the better connection. But I would say for now, let's just sort of land the plane. But basically, what you guys were saying about Texas football, UT is clearly the
well. I was going to mention that because of the Metroplex, and of course you got Dallas and Fort Worth. TCU represents Fort Worth. SMU represents Dallas. Recently, both teams have been playing better. So now when they play each other, it's actually a nice game within the Metroplex. Yeah. But because where Dallas DFW is located, we are literally 3 to 4 hours away from Austin, 3 hours away from Norman. There's a lot of Oklahoma transplants here. So that's why the Cotton Bowl, well, not the State Fair, Red River rivalry.
Yeah.
That's why it's as big. So, yes, UT, because we are in Texas, but it's not like UT rules this Metroplex. No. It's you see both because
you see both. You see Aggies. Aggies are heavy. Aggies are a core.
Now, what about A&M? Where's A&M?
A&M got a bigger alumni base than Houston.
A&M has a huge. They have the Houston. Like basically, you kind of set your footprints up in the city because like the further you go, and I want to say the further you go south, like you get there. Because I want to say it's like DFW. It's like Fort Worth. We get to Waco first. Waco takes like an hour, and then after you take about another hour some change, then you're in College Station. Because like I go to College Station, isn't too far from my alma mater, Prairie View, and so it's like I know once I get to College Station, go another couple hours, I'm there, and then I'm 45. Prairie View is 45 minutes from Houston, so that's why that whole space they dominate Houston so much. Whereas Austin, they have their footprint in places, but like really DFW, they're heavy. But it's like it's always a clash between those two, and that's I'll say college football wise, that was one of the biggest things. Them being in the SEC, Texas back in the SEC, and seeing that rivalry. Because I'll never forget, like, going and watching that game and it being such a big deal, even though they're probably the biggest rival might be Oklahoma as far as competitive winning, because Texas owns the rivalry, like, outright, like, a lot.
Yeah.
And so, A&M's the little brother, but it's like now the little brother is having actually, the teams never meet where both are on equal footing. And it happened again this year, where Texas is going to miss the playoffs, but A&M is definitely going to make it. But you at least want to give them that loss.
Gotcha. One thing I might want to talk about in a future show, since also we're in the middle of basketball season. Texas basketball is also pretty big. Baylor won a championship a couple years ago. They were good for a while. I remember my man Shaka Smart was down there in Texas for a while. But let's talk about that in a future show. But I say right now, let's just land the plane.
Kind of got the spotlight.
Now they got it going on. So we can certainly chop it up with the college basketball scene. And you guys still owe me a homework assignment.
I got you.
You came back.
I was thinking about that before the show.
Top 10 Houston high school quarterbacks of all time. Again, we need to create a segment where we talk about that as well. But certainly want to thank guys for coming out. Again, sorry for the again, we're trying to get our guy Anton on, and you're going to work to see if we can work on that.
I'll tell you what, Mr. Ben, we can do that topic not the first week of the playoffs, NFL playoffs. Maybe the second, because the games it's going to be not as much games,
right?
So it'll be easier to fit that.
Yeah, we're going to have some dead space for a minute for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah. The high school playoffs in Texas just started last week, so by the time you get to the week before Christmas, because there's so many teams, that's when it finally, like you have to play to win state. You got to win like 6 games.
Right. Gotcha. All right, guys. All right, we're gonna sign off for the night. Again, make sure you guys who came on tonight, make sure you hit the like button certainly before you leave the show. But certainly until next time, BME, I see you in the back. You got anything for us? You good?
He was talking about Cowboys fans.
Okay, so I just want to give him the option. Guys, I'm pop up again. But we're gonna wrap this up, guys. So again, enjoy the rest of your week. Take care. God bless. We'll see you next week. Good night.